Hello there my friends on the internet. So in this video I'll be talking to you about variables and data types and some things about functional programming. Before that I'll introduce you a new topic known as objects and arrays. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so we created a folder as JavaScript, as you can see here. First of all, just right click it and open it with code. It will open in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so in the last video we just did a console.log here and we learned how to uh, reference other documents as JavaScript documents. So, and in the last video I was standing here. In this video I'll be sitting, because just like this we should try different things every time. So open it with live server and this would open now. So if I would inspect, I'll see my hello world statement right there. In the console, I saw my hello world. Okay. So now we'll learn about data types. Now what are these data types? That 4 types of data types. Now I will introduce to each of them to you. But first of all, we'll look at string, number and boolean. So to see these, we'll take the help of the console.log statement. So if I just write the console.log to declare a string, we put in our data in curly, in just a quotation, or even speech marks are okay. I use quotation because it is easier to type in. So I can just write here console.log and whatever. And I want to write here something like, okay, so this is a string. Okay, so the next thing is console.log a number. So now what is this number? Every one of us knows number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Recurring, so 10. No, 105. As in the last tutorial, I said every time provide a semicolon after your JavaScript statement. It's just a good habit. You should always put it. So this is a number. So the third statement is, the third data type is a boolean. So now what is this boolean? Boolean is true or false. So I can just write it true. Now if I just save it here, and as I said, it is written in a different form. We can see here in both of the place it is printed in a different form. I wanted to introduce you to new thing known as objects, but I will tell you after we learn variables. So we'll first look at variable. So now, if you have studied maths till grade 6, then you might have come across the word variable. Now, what is this variable? Variable is just a store of content or store of data in something. So we can declare a variable by var variable is equal to something. So I can just write a sentence here, variable. Okay, so the name variable contains a thing known as a thing, that means a data type, which is known as a variable in this thing, the variable itself. So I can change its name. A variable named box contains products. It is like this. Okay, so this is how this is the concept of variable basically. So now we can do anything with it. We can just console.log. So console.log box. Now if I go back here, I would see products written here. Now what I can do is, you might have seen this slash slash, this is a string, and more of these things. Now what are these? I'll even tell you that. So these are known as comments. So on a YouTube video, there's a feature known as comments. It is the same way. It is for the user to read the code properly. Now these comments, there are 2 types of comments: the single line comments, the single and multi-line comment. So this is a multi-line comment. So this is how we write comments in this programming language. In most of the programming languages like C, if you have learned C, if you have passed your time out with C, so you might already know about these comments. That's why I recommend each and every person to have experience with C programming language, so they can almost master all the programming languages of the world, because at the end of the day, each and every language's syntax is like C itself. So that's why everyone should know C. So now these variable can even contain numbers, it can even contain boolean and all. So we can just write a var bool ball equal to a boolean, which is true. I can just console.log it. Console.log ball. Just go here. So I can just see it true. Now I don't want this comment console.log, so I can just select them like this and just press Ctrl N. Now they all are converted into comments. I'm keeping these for your reference. The next thing which you want to know is objects. Now what are these objects? Objects. Object is this. I'll show you an object. This mic. This is a mic. It is an object. I can show you more objects. This paper is also an object. Everything is an object. So, in a similar way, there's an object in JavaScript which is very different from all the objects which we use. What am I talking? I don't know. So I can just write here. I'll show you what are these objects. So const. You should always use the formula known as learning by doing. You would learn everything with the learning by doing formula. I can just write here const this const. Let us say const or obj equals to. Now, how do you declare these objects? We first put a curly brace and this. Now what is happening here? Nothing is happening. Now inside this we put a thing known as key value pair. So we write a key. So we can write anything. We can write this. We can write not this. We'll write a string. So to inside this variable we are setting a key as string. Now we can do anything with it. We can assign it something. So I'll assign it a string, as this is a string. In the same manner, we can just do with we can do as many as we want. A number. All right. So now if I just console.log this object, so console.log obj, we can see it written in a pretty format here. Now what is this? It is being understood by the browser, so it is something sensible for the browser or JavaScript. So this is known as JSON. Now you might be thinking, I was talking about objects. How did the JSON come in the story of objects? Well, what is the full form of JSON? It means JavaScript Object Notation. So in a video I'll be talking to you about JSON, but this is what mainly object is. So but for now it won't make any sense for you, because you won't be using it. In fact, you won't be even using variables nor anything. So as we go ahead, we'll learn everything. We'll see its benefits. We'll learn functions, we'll learn arrays and all. So there we'll learn where are these used. So let us now go ahead. Now here you might have noticed I wrote here const. Now what is this const? How did this const come in picture? So I'll tell you. There is a thing known as ES6. ES6. What is this ES6? ECMAScript 6. ECMAScript 6. Now what is this ECMAScript? Initially JavaScript was known as ECMAScript. Now it is known as JavaScript, because JavaScript is more funkier or more attractive than ECMAScript. So that's why it has, this is one of the reasons why JavaScript has uh, gained its popularity in past few years. So now in 2015, a revolution kind of thing happened in JavaScript for ECMAScript, I mean. So now, from now onwards, I won't call it JavaScript, I'll call it ECMAScript because it's the raw name. We should always be in style. So I'll be calling it ECMAScript anyways. So in 2016, that means according to them the sixth version of ECMAScript came in, wherein they almost changed the whole look of JavaScript language. So in this, they changed this var to a new thing known as let and const. With var, there was a problem that it had some scoping problems. I'll talk to you about this in another video, which won't be included in this series. Okay, so this had it had some scoping problems. So for that, what they did is they took out a new thing known as let and const. So after this, instead of writing var, we can just write a let obj equals to an object. So I can write here message. Okay, so this is what, now remember that thing called var, just call it let now. Okay, so this is what let is. There is no difference between let and var if you look at it, but in one video I'll tell you all the differences. Now what is this const? Var and let are just same things. Okay, so now this const is a variable which remains constant throughout the program. So I can just write the cont. I can just write const number con is equal to a number. I can say 10000000. Okay, so now if I just try to change its value by writing a number con equal to 10 plus 1, 10 plus 10, it will throw me an error. See, it threw me an error. I'll increase the size of this so that you can see it. Okay, I could have done that before, but I forgot to do it. From the next video onwards, I will do it. No problem. So we can see here, oops, this is the error. So let obj, I can say let, and still now it gave me an error, which is, it is telling me uncaught type error, assignment to a constant variable, which basically means that you are assigning an assigning a value to a constant variable. In chemistry, if you have learned how to write a lab report, in that there might be three variables. Yeah, there also you come across the name variable. So one of them is constant and two more things which I'll be talking to you one day. Okay, so the constant is the thing which remains constant throughout the experiment. So in the same manner, in here a constant variable is a thing which remains constant throughout your program. Okay, that's why we cannot number, we cannot change its value. Now let us look at a thing known as, let us look at functions. This is a part where you will be interested. Now what are these functions? So in English, function, I'll tell you the meaning of function. If I go to Google Chrome and in the new tab, I'll write here function meaning. There I can see a function, the purpose, the duty of a person or the thing. So in the same way, function in JavaScript, so function is a duty to be done by the program. Okay, so now as I said, I'll be introducing to you a new topic, functional programming. First, we will talk about functions. So how do we declare these functions? I'll give you an example of a function. I'll tell you what does this function do. If you have something like, if you want to just console.log something. So console.log this. I can just say here, this is best. And I want to do it 100 times. I cannot type it like this 100 times. I did it, but it is not a good way. You should, what we would do is, would take use of a loop. So now, what is this loop? It is a function itself. So which loop would we use? Now what is this loop? Loop is a thing which is being done one after another. It is done forever until we stop it. So we can just write a for loop. So let I is equal to 0. Now see, I'll talk to you about loops in the next video, but in this video I'll give you a basic knowledge of loop. What happens is, I'll tell you, I less than, let us, it was 100, so 100 I plus plus. What is happening here? This let, I'm telling the program that there's a variable as let I. So the variable I is equal to 0. Then until it is less than 100, keep incrementing it and follow this whatever I write here. So I can just write a console.log do this. Now if I just go here into my JavaScript program, I can see a 102 user messages, and I can see a do this is written 100 times. Basically what I'm telling the program is, so until I is less than 100, just print in the console do this. So after this, after each check, so what is it doing? It is just checking, is this I 0? If not, then it is executing this and it is incrementing I by 1. So is it now less than 0? No. Then again, so if it is the 100th time, is it now less than 0? Less than 100? Yes, then it would terminate the program. So this is a function. This is the work of a function, to the duty to be done by a program. Now I'll be telling you how do we make these functions. So for example, I want to make a function which would just add two numbers. So just add a function add, and then provide a curly, just provide a bracket. So first we'll okay, then we just in the function inside, after we provided a curly bracket, we write here the operation, and then we can do whatever. Now what I want to do is, I want to console.log. What I can do is, I can just declare a variable on top, like let num, let subs equal to 0. And what I can do is, I can just loop. So let I, as I told you about for loop, now you have understood. So let I is equal to 0, I less than let us say 106, I plus plus. This is known as incrementation. If I would write here I minus minus, it would go on forever, which I don't want. So sub equal to subs plus 1, and just console.log here, console.log the subs variable, and don't do anything. Okay, so this is the work which should be done with by the function. I would remove this first, so just remove get lost. Okay, but nothing is happened here. Why nothing is happening here? I'll tell you. To execute a function, we have to call it. Without calling a function, how would it work? So we have to write here add, just call that function add, and see, now we can see here all the numbers that I said you would be done by the function. Okay, it should be add subs. There's an error. What is the error? Subs. Okay, so here we took a help of a variable. Now like this, you can take help of variable throughout your life. it will help you the most. So now you can see here we got now add subs until 106, and very good. So now let us take a simple example of a function, very simple example, just of adding with this is with parameters. So add. Now this function will take two parameters. Now what are these parameters? I'll tell you. Like we see here, add. If I want to add 10 numbers, I want to add 10 plus 2. I can just say here 10 comma 10 comma 2, like this. So the thing why I wrote this 10 and 2 are just parameters. So that's why we use parameters. So I can just write here number O, number O, number 2. That number 2. Okay. So this is number 1, number 2. And what I can do is just console.log number O plus number 2. Now I can see here, it is written here 12. Now I don't want this function, so I can remove that. See, it is written here 12. Now what does this mean? It means that our function add is working very nicely. 10 plus 2. Now what if I want to return something from this function? This is known as functional programming, that divide your program into a set of functions and just execute it line by line so that your code is less. This is what is known as functional programming. Now what if I want to return a value to a variable? So likewise, if I want to add two numbers and store it in a variable, how do I do that? I can just write a const, but this add doesn't return us a value, it just does console.log. What we would do is we just comment this out, and what we can do is we can just return. Now what does this return do? Return returns us a product of our operation. So return number O plus number 2. Just control C and control V. Okay, so now I can just console.log. I can do anything with it. Number with function. See, 12. This variable is having a product of 12. Okay, so that is all for this video. Please like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.